Hello everyone and welcome to the first clip in the playlist for teaching programming and C# for beginners. Today I'll show you how to get started from installing the tools you need to running your very first program and all that in under 10 minutes. So let's get coding. First, what do you need in order to start coding? Two things, a computer, so sorry phone guys, and a free program called Visual Studio. I'll explain what it is and why you need it in a minute, but for now let's just get it installed. And for that, go to your favorite search engine, type Visual Studio, click on the first link or downloads, and choose the community link. You don't need the professional or enterprise editions because those are paid and have features you don't need. So hit the download button. And when it's done downloading, open the installer. And now you can close the browser. Hit continue. And it will start downloading. When the installer asks you what do you want to install, just pick .NET Desktop Development and ignore the other options because they are for games, mobile applications and websites, which we'll skip for today. And hit install. While it downloads and installs stuff, let's discuss what's happening. Maybe you knew already, but computers don't speak the same way as we humans do. In fact, they only understand something called the binary language, which is composed of a series of zeros and ones, and I'll explain that in a future video. But the point is, if we want to take our ideas and express them in a way that the computer can understand and execute, we need to follow certain steps, just like cooking a dinner requires following multiple steps. So for instance, one step would be to gather the ingredients required for that dinner, which in our case would be the source code or the text that we write in a form that we understand, explaining to the computer what we want it to execute. Next, in our example, you would take those ingredients and cook or bake them in order to obtain a finished dish. That's precisely what we want to do with our source code. We will need to bake it through a process called compilation, performed by a tool called the compiler, which is taking the source code and converts it to that binary code that I was talking about, such that the computer can understand and execute it. So in this context, you can think of Visual Studio like a chef, which is taking all the steps to get us a tasty dinner, or in our example, to take our source code and output an executable. Now that the download finished, we can open Visual Studio, so launch, and we can close the installer. You don't actually need an account, so you can skip. I very much recommend you to choose the dark theme. It's easier on your eyes if you spend a lot of time in Visual Studio. As for this drop down, I don't actually know if it makes any difference what you choose here. I never noticed anything different, but I always chose Visual C#, whatever. So stick to that and start. And here create a new project, and you will probably be overwhelmed by the number of options that are available to choose from. But that's actually not the case, because we can filter some stuff up. For instance, instead of all languages, we can choose C# because that's what we are going to use. Instead of all platforms, we can choose Windows because again, that's what we are going to develop for. And instead of all project types, we can choose console, which by the way is not referring to a game console. It's just a black screen with some text on it. And we are left with only two options. And from these two, whenever you see .NET Framework in parentheses, just ignore that option. That's obsolete, that's legacy code. You would not choose it for a new project, only if you deal with some old code base or something like that. So always choose console app, and that's that. Hit next, give it a name, like, I don't know, Hello World. That's a popular choice for a first project. Hit next. You don't need to modify these. Hit create. And done. You can close this copilot thing. It's AI and you don't need it. So let's go through the interface a bit. This is the panel where you will write your source code. This is where we put the instructions that we want the program to execute. This panel, the Solution Explorer, is where the files of your projects will be located in more or less a hierarchical structure. And although not shown by default, we will also need output and errors, because those will help us in the development of the project in the future. As you can see, we already have some codes here, and if I press this green button that looks like a play sign, boom, this black window is our first program. It doesn't do much, it just prints hello world on the screen, but in the next lessons we'll learn how to make it more useful step by step. Meanwhile, you can try changing the text between the quotation marks and run it again, see what happens. If the console window opens and immediately closes, you need to add a new line of code, this one, because console programs practically tend to self-close once they are done executing the codes that they need to execute. And with this line we are telling it to actually wait for us to type something and press enter, so it will not self-close anymore. That's it guys, in under 10 minutes you've downloaded Visual Studio, created a project and ran your first C# program. If you found this helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you want to build with C#. See you in the next tech frame.